Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be giving my NFL DraftKings picks for Week 12. This is going to be an updated video of my video that I uploaded on Monday, my first look at the slate. I am recording this video on Friday, so we have plenty of injury news, pretty much just about all the injury news we need. So in this video, I'm going to go through each position and talk about the guys I'm looking to target in my lineups on Sunday. Be sure to hit on the studs that I like each position. If there are value plays, I'll be sure to touch on those. If there are mid-tier plays I like each position, we'll be sure to hit on those as well. Not going to go through every single player, but I'll be sure to hit on about 5 or 6 guys at each position and talk about some of the guys that I'm looking to target. So yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get started looking at some quarterbacks this week. Alright, so I said this on Monday. I say this a lot in all my videos. Quarterback's never a position I like to pay up at. Always like to go cheap at quarterback. There are obviously definitely some good options up top. Tom Brady gets to face the Dolphins. Right now, Brady is questionable. I'm fully expecting him to play. He definitely should be playing. He's obviously in a good spot, playing at home against the Dolphins. If you want to pay up for Brady, he's fine. I think if I'm going to pay up, it's going to be with him or Russell Wilson. Don't think I'm going to be on Carson Wentz against the Bears, even though Wentz has played really well this year. I just like Russell Wilson a little bit more and definitely would rather get up to Brady. So at Wentz's price tag, I'm going to be avoiding him. I'm going to be on Russ Wilson, Tom Brady if I do pay up. But like I said, I never like to pay up for quarterback. I like to go to the mid-tier, to the cheaper end. And in this mid-tier, I talked about these guys on Monday. There's still guys I'm going to be looking to target. These 3 guys right here, Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, and Andy Dalton, have interest in all 3 of these guys. Starting off with Matt Ryan, he's in a really good spot, playing at home against Tampa Bay. If you are looking to go to this mid-tier, I think Matt Ryan's a very good option. Pairing him with Julio Jones, I think makes a lot of sense this week. Julio does have a very nice price tag on him at $7,700. So going with that QB wide receiver combo, I think makes a lot of sense. Could play that in cash, could play it in tournaments as well. Definitely has upside. So Matt Ryan this week, playing at home. We know the Falcons play well. I mentioned that on Monday. I think Matt Ryan's a good option. Still like him today. Even 4 days later, I think Matt Ryan's going to definitely be a guy I target this week. And same with Marcus Mariota. Talked about him on Monday in my video on Monday. Still have a ton of interest this week in Marcus Mariota. I think this game, the Titans versus the Colts, this game has a ton of shootout potential. I think this game is very stackable. There are a lot of good plays from both sides. I think Brissett's a very good quarterback option. I like Mariota. I think there's some receivers from both sides. I think T.Y. Hilton's a good play. Corey Davis, Rashard Matthews, if he plays, I think both of those guys are interesting. I think both tight ends are viable. Jack Doyle, Delaney Walker. So definitely a ton of options we can target in this game. So I definitely think you're going to want to get exposure to it. Like I said, it has a ton of shootout potential. And Marcus Mariota, now that his hamstring is healed up a bit and now he's able to run, he has a ton of upside now. When these teams faced off earlier, Mariota could barely move, couldn't even move out of the pocket. Still put up 18.24 DraftKings points in the game earlier this year against the Colts where he could hardly move. Now we're getting Mariota full go. He should be able to scramble, provide you a ton of upside. So going with him at 6,300, I think I would prefer him in tournaments over Matt Ryan. But I think both guys do have plenty of upside. So Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, 2 guys I think you can target in that 6K range. And same with Andy Dalton at 6K going up against the Browns. Andy Dalton has torched the Browns just throughout his career. He torched them earlier this year when they played earlier this year. Week 4 at Cleveland, Andy Dalton had 29 DraftKings points, threw 4 touchdowns in that game, 286 yards. Pairing him with A.J. Green I think is going to be pretty popular this week. But obviously it makes a lot of sense. The Browns' pass defense just isn't good. So Andy Dalton in that 6K range, I think if I'm going to that mid-tier, he's also going to be a guy I look to target. If I'm going to that 6K price range, Matt Ryan, Mariota, and Dalton would probably be the 3 guys I would target. They're looking for some value quarterbacks. Always like to target value at quarterback. And I talked about this guy on Monday. I'm very high on him still on Friday. Hopefully he will play. He is currently questionable. But Jacoby Brissett at 5,400, I think is definitely going to be a guy I look to target this week, especially in cash games at his price tag and given the matchup. We know the Titans don't have a very good pass defense. This game's going to be played in Indy. It's going to be in the Dome. We know the Colts play well at home in the Dome. Brissett plays well. T.Y. plays well. Doyle plays well. And like I said earlier, I think this game has a ton of shootout potential. So Jacoby Brissett at 5,400. Right now he's listed as questionable, but he was a full participant in practice. Should be ready to go for this game. I am expecting him to play. Definitely think he's going to be a guy I'm considering in my cash game lineup, especially at this price tag. So if you are looking for some value at quarterback, I'm still very high on Jacoby Brissett. I think he's a very good option this week at 5,400. And then one more really cheap value quarterback I want to talk about did open up. We didn't have this news on Monday, so this is one of the reasons why I like to make these updated videos, because we didn't have this news on Monday. But Paxton Lynch will be starting for Denver. He is only 4,400. He's going up against Oakland. We know Oakland's defense has not been that great this year, especially their pass defense as of late. I don't think I'm going to be on Paxton Lynch because I like Brissett for just a little bit more. But if you need just a straight up punt from Paxton Lynch, especially in cash games, you're only going to need like 12, 13 DK points for him to hit value. It's obviously very likely that he gets there. Don't know if he has a ton of upside for tournaments, but for cash, it's just 4,400. I think it's very likely he gets the job done for you. So if you want just a straight up punt at quarterback, I think Paxton Lynch, 4,400, makes a lot of sense. But yeah, guys, what I'm seeing for quarterback, definitely a position I think you should go to the mid-tier or look to go a little bit cheaper at. Brissett, Lynch, I think are good cheap options. You look in that mid-tier, you got Andy Dalton, Mariota, Matt Ryan. Then if you want to pay up, obviously Brady, Russell Wilson would probably be the two guys I would target. But definitely think you want to go a little bit cheaper at this position. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to running back. All right, so at running back, I talked about this guy on Monday. Still very high on him come Friday. That's Todd Gurley, top running back on the board, 8,800 going up against the Saints. I just really like Todd Gurley this week. Not sure how highly owned he's going to be. I think there are a little bit cheaper options that will probably have more ownership than Gurley will. So definitely like him for tournaments. Obviously, he's a good cash game play. The workload's always there for Gurley. Usually sees at least close to 20 touches, if not more than that, every game. And this game does have one of the highest totals on the slate. The Saints versus the Rams, definitely a game you want some exposure to. So really like the spot for Todd Gurley. Marcus Lattimore, currently questionable for the Saints. He is one of their best cornerbacks. Obviously, that helps more of the passing game, but still, that's a good upgrade for Gurley. So going with him at 8,800, if I'm paying up for running back, he's going to be the guy I'd target. I prefer him over Shady. Probably would prefer him over Mark Ingram as well. The only guy I think I would maybe take over Gurley would probably be Kareem Hunt at 8K going up against Buffalo. Their run defense just hasn't been good this year, hasn't been good as of late. So if you want to get the $800 discount, you need the savings. Definitely don't mind going down to Kareem Hunt, but I think if you can afford Todd Gurley, I think he's worth the price tag this week at 8,800. And then if we're looking at running backs in the mid-tier, I mentioned this guy in Monday's video, but Tevin Coleman, 6,500, I think a really good option here in this mid-tier. Devontae Freeman been ruled out for this game, so Tevin Coleman going to get the start, going to get the workload. And in Monday's game against Seattle, Coleman got 20 rushing attempts in that game, also got 2 targets as well. He did get 43 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, also got a little bit of yards in the passing game, finished with 12.8 DraftKings points last week on Monday when he got the start. So if you want to go to Tevin Coleman in this mid-tier at 6,500, I think he makes a lot of sense. Definitely if I'm going to that price range, he would be the guy I would target. Probably would take him over McCaffrey, but I think Christian McCaffrey definitely another option you can target in that price range. If you're going to that 6K range, go with Coleman or McCaffrey. Those would be the two guys I would target. And then if we're looking for value at running back, I think there are a couple value plays that we can target at this position. There has been some value that has opened up. I mentioned him on Monday, but Dion Lewis at 4,800, he's pretty much the lead back now for the Patriots. He's getting most of the work. So if you need a value play at running back, I would probably target him. He has been playing really well lately. In his last 2 games, 17 and 18 DraftKings points. He touched the ball 14 times against Oakland, touched the ball 14 times against Denver. So he's seen 14 touches in 2 straight games, pretty consistent. Obviously, Burkhead's involved, James White is involved, but Dion Lewis is the lead back right now for the Patriots. So if you want to go cheap at running back, I think he's an option at 4,800 if you are looking to go to that price range. And then there are 2 running backs, sub 4K, really cheap options I want to mention. Didn't talk about them on Monday, but I think they are good plays this week. First off, J.D. McKissick, 3,700, going up against the 49ers. Obviously a great matchup for McKissick. We know the 49ers can't really stop anyone through the pass or through the run. I'm recording this on Friday, and Mike Davis is currently questionable. If Mike Davis misses, that's obviously a big boost for McKissick. In their game on Monday, Davis and McKissick were really the only running backs that got the work. McKissick saw 7 rushing attempts in that game on Monday against Atlanta, got 30 yards, also got 6 targets, so was involved in the passing game. That's what he's best at, is in the passing game. Did put up 10 DraftKings points in their last game against Atlanta. And this week he gets a really good matchup against the 49ers. He's only 3,700. For him to hit value, we're only going to need like 11, 12 DraftKings points. And if Mike Davis is out, I think it's very likely that J.D. McKissick gets there. So if you want to go to him as a value running back, I think he makes a lot of sense at 3,700. And then at that same price tag, I think another guy that's valuable for value is Devontae Booker, 3,700, going up against Oakland. I think Devontae Booker makes a lot of sense as a value running back this week. I did see a lot of work in their last game against Cincinnati. Got 14 rushing attempts and also had 5 catches as well, so got 19 touches in their last game against the Bengals. Obviously, the Broncos have C.J. Anderson. They have Jamal Charles. But as of late, Booker has been getting a lot more work. He still isn't starting. C.J. Anderson's still starting, but Booker has been heavily involved. Did put up nearly 15 DraftKings points in their last game against Cincinnati. This is a good matchup against Oakland, whose defense has really struggled this year. And with Booker's involvement in the passing game, that obviously makes him very valuable on DraftKings, where it's full PPR scoring. So going with a guy like Devontae Booker, 3,700. If you need to go cheap at running back, I think he definitely makes some sense this week. But yeah, guys, that's what I'm seeing for running back. Those are some running backs I'm looking to target in my lineups come Sunday. Let's go ahead and move on to wide receiver. All right, so at wide receiver this week, there's definitely been some value that has opened up at this position. There wasn't a lot of value at this position on Monday, but I'm recording this updated video on Friday. Definitely some value that has opened up. But at the top, starting off at the top, the same guys I mentioned on Monday are the same guys I like at this position. Julio Jones, A.J. Green. I think if you're paying up for wide receiver, these are going to be the guys I target. I prefer them over Evans, over Michael Thomas, over Brandon Cooks. Julio's in a really good spot against Tampa Bay, just not a good pass defense this year. A.J. Green gets to face the Browns, who also has a struggling pass defense. So if I'm paying up at wide receiver, I'm going to these guys. I definitely think I'd prefer Julio over A.J. Green. Julio just has such a nice price tag, and it's a really good matchup against Tampa Bay. So if I'm paying up, I'm going to Julio. A.J. Green also thinks a viable option. Those are going to be the two guys I target. If I look to pay up at this position, if enough value opens up, I can fit in these guys. Definitely think they're viable. And then looking in this mid-tier, I think the same mid-tier options I like were the same ones I mentioned on Monday. T.Y. Hilton, I talked about him in Monday's video. I think he's going to be pretty low owned this week. I think he makes a lot of sense in tournaments. 6,700 is a pretty high price tag on him. I think if people pay up for wide receiver, they're just going to go up to Julio, A.J. Green. They're not really going to go to this 6K, 7K range. And T.Y. is coming off a pretty rough game against Pittsburgh where he only put up 4 DraftKings points. So I'm expecting pretty low ownership on T.Y. If you want to pair him with Jacoby Brissett in some tournaments, I think that definitely makes sense. We know T.Y. has a ton of upside, especially when he's playing at home. And it's a really good matchup against the Titans, who just have a struggling pass defense. So if you're going to the 6K range, T.Y. Hilton, 6,700. I think he makes a lot of sense in tournaments this week if you are looking in that price tier. And then looking for some value at wide receiver, this is where a lot of value has opened up. We didn't have a lot of this value on Monday. There is one guy, though, that I talked about on Monday that I still think is a viable option. Mohamed Sanu, 5,200, playing at home against Tampa Bay. I think he makes sense this week as a value receiver. If you're looking to get a piece of Atlanta's offense, they're probably going to put up plenty of points playing at home. You don't have the salary to fit in Julio or like Tevin Coleman. You want a little bit of this offense. Definitely consider Mohamed Sanu. Guy's been really consistent this year. Only has 2 games under 10 DraftKings points. So definitely a solid cash game play. Even though his price tag is rising, I still think he manages to pay out that price. So if you want to get exposure to Atlanta, but you want to get a little bit of a cheaper price, Mohamed Sanu, 5,200, think he makes a lot of sense. And then one of the value plays that has opened up that I'm really high on this week, hopefully injury news breaks our way and he becomes a really good play. That's Corey Davis, 4,900, going up against the Colts. Right now, as I'm recording this on Friday, Rashard Matthews is questionable. If Rashard Matthews misses this game, I think Corey Davis becomes one of the best value plays on the board. In his last 2 games, Corey Davis has seen a total of 17 targets. Saw 7 targets against Pittsburgh, 10 targets against Cincinnati. Has yet to really have a good game, though. Has only put up 5 and 7 DraftKings points in his last 2 games. But he's still seeing plenty of targets. This is pretty much a dream matchup facing the Colts. And especially if Rashard Matthews is out, I would imagine Corey Davis is going to see close to 10 targets again. Even if Matthews plays, he's still going to see plenty of targets. So I think he makes a lot of sense as a value receiver this week at 4,900. I think if Matthews plays, he is also a good value option for just 200 more. But I don't really want to recommend Matthews since he is currently questionable. And if he misses, that makes Corey Davis a very good value option. Pairing him with Mariota, I think it's definitely valuable in some tournaments this week, maybe even in cash games. And then another value receiver that's in that same price tier, 100 more than Corey Davis, Cooper Kupp at 5K, going up against the Saints. We didn't have this news on Monday, and I'm recording this on Friday. Robert Woods has been ruled out for this game. So that has definitely opened up value in the Rams passing game. Cooper Kupp's a valuable value option, I think, this week. Even when Woods has been playing, Cooper Kupp still seeing plenty of targets, has seen 10, 5, 7, and 7 targets in their last 4 games, 15, 8, 10, and 11 DraftKings points. And with Robert Woods out now, Cooper Kupp should see plenty of targets. So I think if you want to go to him as a valuable, I think he makes sense as a valuable value option at 5K. I think him and Corey Davis are probably going to be the 2 most popular value plays if you're looking to go cheaper receiver. especially if Rashard Matthews is out this week. I think Corey Davis is probably going to be one of the highest owned receivers. But obviously that makes a ton of sense. The guy's seeing plenty of targets, and with Matthews out, the targets should just increase even more. So if you're going cheaper receiver, good options here. Rashard Matthews, if he plays, Cooper Kupp, Corey Davis, all think make sense at their really cheap price tags. And then I think that's it for receiver, guys. Those are some value plays I did want to hint on. I didn't talk about them on Monday because they weren't really good value plays on Monday. But since injuries have broke our way, guys, those are some guys you definitely want to target. Rashard Matthews, Cooper Kupp, Corey Davis, write all those names down. I think they're good, valuable options if you're looking to go cheap at receiver. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to tight end. All right, so at tight end, talk about this in all my videos. I never like to pay up at this position. I always like to go to the mid-tier or look to go cheap. Obviously, there are good options up top. Travis Kelce, Gronkowski, guys have a ton of upside. Definitely good tournament plays, but for cash games, definitely like to go a little bit cheaper this position. And the four guys that I have a lot of interest in this mid-tier, first off, Delanie Walker at 5K. I didn't talk much about him on Monday, but I think he's definitely a guy we should be targeting this week. Really kind of skipped over him in Monday's video. He is obviously in a good matchup here going up against the Colts, who I've said time and time again has a really struggling pass defense. And if you look in Delanie Walker's game log in his last 4 games, guy's been ultra consistent, 12, 12, 12, and 15 DraftKings points in his last 4 games. And I think the price tag's still pretty reasonable on Delanie Walker, so if you want to make a little combo where you pair him with Mariota, Walker and Mariota, I think makes a lot of sense. Probably won't cost you that much salary either. So if you're going to pay up at tight end, if you're going a little bit up in this mid-tier, I'd probably go with Delanie Walker at 5K if you are looking in that price range. Then the two guys in this 4K range that I like, first off, Jared Cook, 4,600 going up against Denver. We know Denver's defense is pretty solid, but definitely susceptible to tight ends. You can beat Denver over the middle with tight ends. So I think Jared Cook at 4,600 is a good tight end option this week if you are looking in that price tier. I probably would only use him in tournaments though, because I think if I'm going in that price range for cash games, I'd probably just go 100 less and go to Jack Doyle at 4,500. I think Doyle makes more sense as the cash play if you're looking in that price range. Doyle's just been seeing a ton of targets this year, especially as of late. Didn't have that great of a game against Pittsburgh, but pretty much the whole Colts offense really struggled in that game. Before that game, Doyle was seeing 9, 14, 7 targets, just a ton of targets, 10, 33, 14 DraftKings points. Really good matchup against the Titans, who, like I said, have a really struggling pass defense. So if I'm going in that mid-tier at tight end looking for a cash play, I think I'd go, if you can find the salary, go up to Delanie Walker. If you need the savings, definitely take that $500 savings. Go to Jack Doyle at 4,500. And then tournament plays, I'd roll with Jared Cook. I think he makes sense at tournaments. Will definitely be a lot lower owned than Jack Doyle. I feel like if people go to that price range, they're going to roll with Doyle at 4,500. And then the one sort of cheaper value tight end I want to mention, 3,900, Tyler Kroft, going up against the Browns. I talked about him on Monday's video, and I've said this before, the Browns just really struggle to defend tight ends. They can't stop tight ends. And although Tyler Kroft doesn't see a ton of targets, he still is in a great matchup. And Mercedes Lewis managed to score a touchdown last week on the Browns, so Tyler Kroft will probably find the end zone this week, which makes him a very good value option. If you are looking to go a little bit cheaper at tight end, he would be the guy I would target, sub 4K at 3,900. And yeah, guys, that's what I'm seeing for tight end. If you're paying up at this position, obviously Gronk, Kelce are good tournament plays, but the cash game plays I think are Delanie Walker, Jack Doyle, Tyler Kroft, Jared Cook. I would probably only save him for tournaments. If you're going to that range in cash, go to Doyle or go to Delanie Walker. But yeah, guys, that's what I'm seeing for tight end this week. Let's go ahead and move on to defense. Alright, so defense this week, I think this position's still sort of the same as Monday's, or the same guys I talked about on Monday are still the same options I like at defense. Obviously, the Jaguars are probably the best play on the board. They are going to be without Jalen Ramsey. That is big news. We did get that on Friday. Jaguars aren't going to have Jalen Ramsey this week. Obviously, he is one of the best corners in the NFL, but this defense is still pretty much unstoppable. So if you can pay up for the Jaguars, they're a very good option at 4,100. Same with the Bengals playing at home against the Browns. The Browns pretty much have the worst offense in the NFL. Their quarterback is terrible. Also think makes a lot of sense. 3,900. Then looking in this mid-tier, a little bit cheaper, this is where I like to go at defense. Don't like to really pay up at this position, I think, because defense is always so just up and down. It's hard to predict defense. I think going to some options that are a little bit cheaper that can save you some money does make sense. So the Patriots playing at home against Jay Cutler and the Dolphins, I think they make sense at 3,400. The Patriots defense has really been improving lately. They've been playing a lot better. and they're playing at home against a really bad quarterback. So at 3,400, even though their price tag has rose a little bit, still think they're in a really good spot. We know Jay Cutler will turn the ball over, will definitely take sacks. So at 3,400, you're looking in that price range. I really like the Patriots this week at their price tag. And then two more cheaper defenses. These are the same ones I talked about on Monday. First off, the Raiders playing at home against Denver. I know I've talked about the Raiders as being a really bad defense, but they're still playing at home. They're still going to be facing a quarterback making his first start of the year. And we saw how that worked out last week with Peterman making his first start against the Chargers. Not saying the Chargers and Raiders defense are equivalent. Obviously, the Chargers have a much better defense. But still, the Raiders are going to be facing a quarterback making his first start. They're playing at home. So if you want to go to the Raiders at 3K, I think they make sense if you are looking to go a little bit cheaper. And then the Falcons also playing at home at 2,900. You're looking for a value defense. Definitely think they are an option. The Falcons defense has actually been really consistent as of late when it comes to DraftKings scoring. They put up 6, 16, and 12 DraftKings points in their last 4 games. Definitely have a nice price tag on them at 2,900. Good matchup facing Tampa Bay's offense, who has really struggled lately to put up points. Ryan Fitzpatrick, we know, is not the best quarterback. Will definitely turn the ball over. So if you are looking to go a little bit cheaper at defense this week, I would target the Falcons at just 2,900. And yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it for defense. I think that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe as well. Be sure to subscribe so that way you'll never miss out on any of my new videos. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, or hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. We'll definitely get back to you. We'll reply to any comments you have, or be sure to just DM me on Twitter if you have any questions. I'll also get back to you there. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck this week, guys. We'll see you back for week 13. Peace, guys.
Whoa, 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 yeah, I'm shaking fast.